podcast is brought to you by PodPro Australia.
Social media, Google, email marketing, systems, website traffic, and the endless content creation that comes with marketing. It's overwhelming, right? Say goodbye to endless stress and hello to clarity with the Meaningful Marketing Podcast. In this podcast, I will share with you fast and free practical methods to help you manage, monetize, and market your business, all infused with a healthy dose of motivation. Let's do this. Welcome back to another episode of the Meaningful Marketing Podcast. And today I have the wealth mentor with me, Jackson Milan. I'm so super excited to have Jackson on here today. I think the last time we had an in-person chat, I think it was at the iGrow conference in the Philippines, on the beach, sucking on coconuts, swimming in the ocean, and just talking about all the ways that your business owners that you work with and what's happening with them and their businesses and what's happening with mine. And there was just so much synchronicity about what was happening. And it was like, yes, just loved it so much. So firstly, I'd love to know just a little bit about yourself, the boy Jackson Milan, something maybe that people don't know about you, the hero story of how you went from little boy to who you are now.
My latest fact that people want to know about me is I've just recently started ultra running. So I started running about 3 months ago, and I had this vision of wanting to tackle this race up in far north Queensland where I live called the Great Pyramid Race, which I did. I set a time to do it in 2 hours and 30 minutes, and I did it in 2 hours and 6 minutes, I think it was. And that wasn't hard enough. So immediately leading up to that, I also booked in my first ultra marathon, 60 kilometers, which I finished on Sunday. And I managed to do that in 8 hours and 2 minutes. So that was great. And I guess doing that kind of thing and kind of manufacturing hardship has been a kind of a theme throughout my entire life, although not all of it was manufactured. And I think it's what's turned me into the person that I am and what I'm so passionate about in helping business owners seize control of their finances and be able to live life on their own terms and build amazing businesses that have tremendous impact, but ultimately creating financial freedom for themselves and their family in the process. And I come from pretty humble beginnings. My parents were business owners. They were incredibly hard workers, and they endured a lot of hardship throughout my childhood. And although they were incredibly good at what they did, they were never very good with money. And they never had any excess. There was certainly no financial freedom. And throughout my childhood, they always said to me, Jackson, if you want to be successful, you've got to work hard for it. And that didn't make a lot of sense because they worked incredibly hard, but there wasn't a lot of success to be seen. And I was fortunate enough to be able to kind of have this epiphany moment that I realized that my parents just had no understanding of the language of money. They weren't in their financial driver's seat, and they had no means of escaping this hardship, their financial hardship. So I've made it my life's mission to go on and help as many people as I possibly could create that financial freedom, and it's not as hard as some people might think.
There's so many factors in there that I absolutely love because many people who've listened to the podcast know that when I came from South Africa, in South Africa, I had money and I had houses and cars and everyone knew who I was, and getting clients was really easy. And then when I came to Australia, I knew no one, I had money, I had to start again. 3 kids under the age of 5, and I literally had to count the tiny teddies like out of the big pack into like little snack packs so that my kids could, have their snack for school. So knowing my numbers and understanding my finances was such an incredible and big part for me. And I'm so incredibly grateful that I never had Centrelink and welfare in the beginning because it made me focus on really understanding and appreciating my numbers, but also understanding that there is another way. You don't have to work hard, you've got to work smart, because I couldn't afford to do stuff online and it not to work. I had to have what I did online. It had to work because it had to feed the family. I couldn't just wake up every day, spit stuff out and hope it was going to stick. It had to have the end in mind and had to have the strategy in mind of actually making money. And then, of course, because I've got the health and wellness background as well, for me, it was absolutely imperative that I then didn't sacrifice my well-being, my health and my fitness, that I didn't spend, 24 hours a day online, but that I was still able to spend it with my family, spend it with the kids, being able to exercise and do the things that I love to do because I'm working smartly. So I absolutely love so much of what you said there. And I'm going to talk about as well, because previously when we spoke last week online, you said something else about that, and I thought I'll bring that in because it's so important. You said the stories that you used to tell yourself. And I feel the same for myself. The stories you used to tell yourself about how you couldn't run. So you want to prove to yourself that you could run. Tell us a bit
it's
about
interesting.
that.
Like, you're an athlete as well, and you've obviously got this fitness background, and so much of success in fitness and in sport and in marketing and in money comes down to mindset and the stories we tell ourselves. And I remember for years, like my entire life, I told myself that I couldn't run. Okay, and it comes down to, like, I get these vivid memories of being a kid at the cross country carnival or at the athletics carnival, and not having trained because I didn't have a mentor, and being forced to kind of do these running races and being so physically exhausted as a result of doing it, where I was like on the verge of having asthma attacks, and I'm like, I can't run. Like, I'm not built for this. And I carried that narrative my entire life. And I see so many people do the same thing with their money, and they do it with their marketing. They're like, I'm not a finance person. I'm not strong with money. I'm not a marketing person. I don't understand all of this stuff. And as Confucius famously said, he who said he can and he who said he can't are both right. And whatever your perspective is, you're right. And I'd spent an entire career trying to prove that to people with their money. Yet I still held on to this self-limiting belief that I couldn't run. And the story kind of goes that there's this big mountain, the pyramid in far north Queensland, and there's this race every year. And I remember when we first moved up here, we were still living in our trippy, travelling around Australia, and we were fortunate enough to be on a campground that people run past for this race. And I go, wow, one day I'd love to be in a position where I could run this race. But I remember putting these people on a pedestal. And I'm like, these people are elite athletes. They've trained for decades to do this race. Untrained people die doing this race. And I'm like, the amount of effort that I need to put in to get there, I'll do it one day. But I didn't set a goal. I never set a date. I didn't create a plan. And I had no accountability to taking action, all because of these limiting beliefs. And the point was that from somebody who had no belief in running to in 12 weeks going and running this race, and not only doing that, then going on to do an ultra marathon, which the thought never even crossed my mind. Like, if you said to me 6 months ago that I was going to be running an ultra marathon, I would have laughed at you. And this exact same thing happens with business owners around their money every single day. That if I said to many people who might even be listening or watching this, that you have the ability to manufacture financial freedom in 10 years or less, you have the ability to seize control and feel confident and capable around your money and manage it in less than 30 minutes a month, I'm sure people are already laughing. But that is the crux of the system that I've created, and it's a system that's helped our clients build over $3 billion in combined wealth. And the choice is yours.
That's phenomenal. That is absolutely phenomenal. So many good things there, around mindset as well. Because, for myself, when I was single, self-employed, 3 daughters, 3 young daughters, and for me being here in Australia, the thing for me was I need to buy a house. I've got no superannuation. I've got no retirement. My only strategy when I was here, if I'm starting from scratch again, was I need to buy a house. And all the people around me, many that were actually in relationships and had jobs and were making more money than me, were going, oh, we'd never be able to buy a house. I don't know how you're going to do it, being single, self-employed. But I refused to accept it because it was a goal for me. It was important for me. It was something that I needed to be able to do. So what did I do? Well, check your mindset, start setting goals, get yourself a coach. I got myself a mortgage broker coach. It took me 3 years. Like, if somebody said, oh, it's going to take, 3 years for you to do that. Well, I dug in and I did it over 3 years, and some people go, oh, it's going to take you 3 years. It's not even worth doing it. They're the ones who don't have a house right now, right? And I'm the one who does. And I remember still going to this business expo and all these people were there. And it was the day that I was actually signing the papers for my house. And they were going, you're so lucky. And I was like, yeah, I'm so lucky. And I went, hold on, no, I'm not lucky. I worked with a coach. I saved, I positioned my money in a way. I learned what I needed to learn. I dug in to be able to achieve what I needed to achieve because that was going to give me the life that I wanted. And it was worth everything. So absolutely love what you're doing with your clients.
It's so important, right? Because this is hard work, okay? Nothing worth anything in this world is easy. Because if it was easy, you wouldn't value it. Like, if anybody thinks back on their life, how many of the easy, breezy, comfortable moments of your life do you truly remember, that you truly appreciate, of being like pivotal parts of your growth, right? And this is the thing, right? Wealth is a byproduct. Being prepared to do what the vast majority of people will not be prepared to do. And it doesn't have to be complicated. I've spent an entire career making it very simple. And I think the biggest mistake that people make is they chase the pursuit of wealth itself. And we've got to realize that money and wealth and even business is just a vehicle to get you to a destination. And we need to get clear on what are those destinations that are intrinsically motivating to you. Why are those things important? And then we can reverse engineer that into the financial means required. Because the reason why you work towards that house where other people weren't is because you were intrinsically motivated to make that happen. You made that commitment to yourself. You'd obviously sacrificed your life to travel halfway around the world to a new place. Failure wasn't an option. And for so many other people, the reason why they don't find the intrinsic motivation and drive to do the work is because they're not invested enough. It's not important enough yet.
Yeah, and that comes back again down to that mindset thing, because, a lot of people will take on that victim mentality and they'll go, oh, I've got it tough and I can't do it. And I know I was talking to you about this last week where I said to you, I see a whole bunch of my clients, and say I give them all access to strategies and they go out and I look at some of them, and some of them are getting such good results and others aren't. And I'm like, you've all had access to the same resources, the same strategies, the same everything, what's different? And the ones that are being successful may only be spending, 20 minutes a day online marketing. The others might be spending 10 hours a day online marketing. And the thing is that in their content, how they're feeling, it actually reeks through their marketing. Like, you can actually smell the desperation of wanting money, or smell the desperation of not honestly caring about their audience or their offer or what they're doing or their purpose or their service. For them, it's just about, I need to go out, I need to make money, buy from me now. And you can actually feel it in their content. Whether or not you believe in frequency or energy of the earth or whatever else, at the end of the day, it actually sniffs of desperation, and then they don't make sales.
I developed a framework around this that we call the wealth pyramid.
Love that.
And the model originally started with this very kind of pragmatic approach to defining people's stages of wealth. And there's 5 stages. The first stage is what we call financial battle, which is basically where you're spending more money than you're making, you're burning through cash, you're racking up debt, you're drowning financially. Stage 2 is financial comfort, where you've got enough, you have a good lifestyle, but there's no surplus, you're not moving forwards. Then you get to financial growth, where you've got surplus and you're saving, you're paying off debts, you're building wealth, potentially all of those things. Then stage 4 is financial freedom. This is simplified by 2 things. You own your home and it's paid off in full, and you have enough passive income where you've got the freedom to choose what you do with your time. And then stage 5 is financial abundance, which means we've got more than what we could ever need or spend, and we can now give back to family, charities, things that are dear to our heart. Now, the reality is that these, once again, lag indicators. And it took me a really long time to discover that there are mental states that support each of those levels, and there's in fact 2. So if we go to financial battle, the first stage is the passenger, the victim. They don't take any personal responsibility. Everyone else and everything else is to blame. And people like that cannot be helped because they're not ready to get into their driver's seat and take that responsibility, okay? Then we get to battlers. Battlers know how to survive. And they're my parents' parents. Like, basically every generation of my family were battlers because they knew how to survive their situation, but their survival depended on that survival. And they created these habits and pathways where they constantly had this vicious cycle of getting into shit because they knew how to get out of it. Then we become a hustler. And a hustler knows how to trade time for money. And they can create comfort, right? They always can rely on their ability and their skill set to provide. But once again, they've only got a finite amount of resource and bandwidth to trade time for money. So then they must transition into becoming a manager. And a manager manages their financial resources, manages their time, and also manages people. So they can start creating leverage. Then we go into becoming an achiever. And an achiever trades outcomes for money. They start disconnecting their effort from their income. And then they become a captain. They become a true leader of their position, a leader of their wealth, and they lead other achievers. And then we start transitioning into freedom. And this is the hardest transition because we need to go from being an achiever to a steward. And a steward must trust in their ability to manage their financial resources and turn that into their number one employee. that works tirelessly for them 24/7. And then if you want to stop there, that's fine. But for some people, they want more. And the next step is to become a manifester. And a manifester is a true manufacturer of wealth. They create something from nothing. Then when we get to abundance, we become a hero. We're a hero to those people that we're trying to elevate through these stages. And then lastly, we become a legend. And you don't decide that you're a legend. Other people will decide that you were a legend when you're no longer of this earth. And the important part of this is that if you can acknowledge your state, your financial state, and also your mental state, then it makes it really easy for you to then identify how do you start going from one stage to the next, because we can't skip stages. We must earn our stripes.
Definitely got to earn your stripes step by step, one foot in front of the other. Absolutely love that. That's awesome. So if business owners are out there right now and they are struggling in their business right now, and I love what you said. Yeah, you said squeeze the last drop out of your business without leads or sales was what you wrote. So what would your biggest piece of advice for those people right now? What would that be?
The biggest challenge that I see is that the vast majority of business owners essentially focus on a single lever in order to grow and scale their business, which is more volume. I need more leads, I need more sales, I need more clients, more. And the issue that I see is that these people are bringing that extra volume into a leaky bucket, that they are spilling untapped opportunity out onto the floor that is, in many cases, for the clients that I work with, worth multi-six figures a year to them. And the reason is because they don't understand the various levers that exist in their business. So volume is definitely one lever. But the second lever is price. And the interesting thing, and this is also another mindset factor, is that I see so many business owners who have guesstimated their pricing, and they actually don't have a pricing strategy which actually links back to their market positioning, that shows the value that they deliver and it positions an asymmetrical risk versus return between that value and the price that they're charging. Instead, they charge the lowest amount possible that people are prepared to take a leap of faith to move forward. And that's not sustainable. So if we understand how we actually create a pricing strategy that's based around value, it's far easier for us to increase price than it is to increase volume. We actually did a study across all of our clients, and we worked out that based on the typical gross profit of a business, the vast majority of service businesses could increase their price by 10% and afford to lose 13% of their clients and still make the same amount of money. And in every single instance where we helped our clients increase their price by 10%, surprise, surprise, typically less than 5% of their clients left, if any clients left at all. So it's really interesting, that mindset shift. So we've got volume, we've got price. The next lever is direct
100%.
costs. So what is your actual cost to serve? And all business owners should know this. Because if you don't understand what it costs for you to deliver your product or service, then you don't understand how much real revenue you've got in your business, because your cost of sales, or the cost that you have to incur to deliver your product or service, is not your money. And once again, so many business owners complain about not having profit, not having cash flow in their business, and it's because, once again, their financial model has been a guesstimate. Next, we need to understand our OPEX, our operating expenses. Because what typically happens is, as we grow our business, we experience the cash flow creep, that as our revenue grows, our expenses often grow proportionately with that, and we have no more money left to show for it. So it's about having a methodology for auditing your operating expenses. For the vast majority of people who work with us, we audit their operating expenses, and they can save $3,000 to $5,000 a month in just things that they've accumulated they're not even using. And then the last factor we need to consider is your cash conversion cycle. So what is the relationship between when you get a lead into your business to when you turn that into a sale? Then from when you turn that into a sale, the costs associated with you delivering on that, and then actually collecting on the cash. And that varies. Obviously, some businesses charge up front and in full, which is awesome. Some businesses invoice on account and sometimes take 30, 60, 90 days to get paid. So if you don't understand that cash conversion cycle, no wonder you're having financial troubles, because you don't understand the peaks and troughs in your bank account and the relationship between when you sign a client to when those inflows and outflows occur. And when we can understand that, we can grow our business not only predictably, but we can grow our bank account predictably.
Oh, that's just amazing. So good. There's so many great things in there. I think everyone's going to have to go back, listen and take notes, and definitely jump onto your website and have a look. For me, just so many things that I love about that. Mindset, self-awareness. I think self-awareness first, probably. Mindset. Working with a coach, because you can't see, you can't read the label from inside the jar, is what they say. So if you want to get somewhere quicker, working with a coach is so important. Understanding your numbers. Yes, it's yucky and you don't want to know it, but knowledge is power. And yeah, I think there's so many great things there. So where can people, I know you've got a special offer for everyone, so where can they get the special offer, and what is it?
My philosophy for life is a good idea in theory remains exactly that, just a good idea until you put it into practice. And the common complaint for business owners is they get overwhelmed, right? They hear theories, they hear principles, but they don't know how that relates to their specific situation. So to solve this, we created a financial performance scorecard, which is basically the top 40 things that get in the way of business owners creating financial freedom. The scary thing is the average score is only 18 out of 40. So the important part is being able to create a roadmap for you. So if you go to wealthhealthcheck.com.au, that's wealthhealthcheck.com.au, it'll take you 5 minutes to complete the scorecard. You'll get a customized report telling you exactly the areas that you need to focus on and actions that you could implement to improve it. You'll also get copies of now my 5 international best-selling books, and also some tools and calculators that'll help you with implementing. And this will just help you work out what's that low-hanging financial fruit for you, so you can start improving your financial results and getting on track for financial freedom faster.
I love that so much. And you said low-hanging fruit. I love that. People, you're sending them so much and they're getting so much. But at the end of the day, imagine if they just took one thing and just implemented that one thing, and then just took another one thing and just implemented that one thing. It could make such a difference. So thank you so much for offering our audience that today. And we will put it in the show notes as well. Thank you again, Jackson Milan, for being here today, the Wealth Mentor. It's been an absolute privilege. Lots of gems there today. So hopefully everyone can take it away and go and make lots of money so they can play more. Thanks for listening in. Meaningful marketing is all about you making your marketing meaningful. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please hit that subscribe button. But subscribing means that you won't miss out on future episodes all about marketing and motivation. Stay inspired, stay focused, and make your marketing meaningful.